Hi guys. So firstly, thank you all for joining us today in this series of global webinars. Here at Discogs, we are the #1 online music database, community and marketplace globally. We have 450 million monthly page views, 8 million active users, with over 400 million records in their collections and wants lists worldwide. Over 12 million releases, 6 million artists, and 1 million labels in the Discogs database. Now, with regards to the first half of this year, the growth in global physical sales in the marketplace is up 29.69% compared to the first half of 2019. Vinyl sales have once again crossed a landmark milestone. And now to put that into perspective, it means that over 5.8 million records were sold on the Discogs site between January and June of this year. So with the Discogs overview completed, it's only right to start with a personal introduction. If we haven't spoken before, I'm Russ and I'm based in London. I'm responsible for the European marketplace. First and foremost, I'm a sole collector whilst leading a team of representatives in key territories across Europe to work alongside sellers, supporting and encouraging best practice throughout. My team is responsible for managing and supporting seller relationships, to sell more and to work less. We also handle partnerships and events, as well as feeding back to the business specific regional challenges and opportunities, with our primary focus the long-term sustainability of our marketplace community. My email is also there for any questions which may come up after this. And if we haven't spoken one-on-one before, please reach out in your own time. I can provide you with some insight on your region within the marketplace, as well as some facts and figures on your seller profile and activity in the last 12 months, whilst taking a deeper dive into your account to ensure all is optimized. So please do get in touch. Now the agenda. First up, I'm here today to talk you through what we mean when we are talking about shipping policies. The purpose of today's presentation is to help sellers who are yet to set up their policies or are looking for some additional guidance. So with regards to the Q&A box, please keep questions limited to that specific topic, which my colleagues are answering throughout this webinar. And if any are unaddressed, I will get to them at the end. I'll then explain why this change is happening now. And that with this year being so chaotic and challenging for the industry, we have seen this question come up repeatedly in the forums and in seller communications, and I feel like it deserves an answer. Then I want to take the chance to talk you through the tools that we have in place and the channels that you have at your disposal to help you manage these changes so that you can see what you have available today and in the future. Once we've gone through them, I will talk through the new features that we've introduced to the shipping editor this month in order to combat some of the challenges we've heard for years, especially in response to some of the feedback we have seen in the community since we announced these changes over a month ago. We'll then be hearing from sellers who have adopted shipping policies, talking about the impact it's had on their businesses and workflows, and some of the challenges they've experienced, and how they have managed to work around those. Then I want to take the chance to address some of the more common questions that we get asked about this change that may have not come to light before handing over some time to a Q&A. As I mentioned throughout this presentation, I'll have colleagues manning the chat box who will be responding to as many of your questions as possible. And towards the end, we'll get a chance to go through some of those that haven't yet been answered. So, what are shipping policies? And look, apologies if this is clear to some of you already, but it's important that we're all on the same page from the get-go. You'll have basic shipping policies pre-existing in your seller terms, which are in turn communicated to buyers in a manual method. This is simply an import of those seller terms into the back end of your seller settings. As a result, we've seen cancellations plummet across the marketplace when shipping policies are activated. And That's really down to impulse purchases that are often ordered and not paid for, with buyers much less likely to cancel an order once the payment has been processed. We'll also be streamlining the buyer experience, making the marketplace more approachable for new customers, further encouraging how we are supporting sellers and bringing more buyers to the site, creating a stronger community and guaranteeing the sustainability of our marketplace for the future. To put it simply, in any other e-commerce platform in 2020, you pay for the item immediately. And we are simply modernizing the marketplace and bringing it in line with where buyers expect Discogs to be today. Why now? Now look, cards on the table first. 2020 has been an absolute whirlwind of a year, with fluctuating shipping prices and restrictions, as well as a host of other challenges that have raised their heads. And with that in mind, the timing of these changes might seem odd. However, these changes have been in the works since 2018. The reason we as an organisation need to continue building on the momentum gained so far is that we know that these challenges are a platform which we can build off and create further improvements to the marketplace. Things like improvements in the wants list, improvements to buyer and seller communications, improved upsell options, and for buyers to add more items to their orders, improved analytics to help you understand and improve your business and ensure anything that gives sellers more control and buyers a better experience. All start with this standardized approach. We need to do more to welcome and support new buyers to the marketplace, and we're confident that this step is in the right direction. There's a direct correlation between active buyers and increased orders, and that is simply a trend that we want to enhance. We have seen since the introduction of shipping policies as an option for sellers, buyers are much more likely to purchase from a seller where they can easily see all the costs upfront and pay immediately. And it's that has driven this trend over the last few years for a solid increase of placed orders on Discogs to be items that have shipping policies already in place. We understand that implementing these shipping policies does take time and effort and requires a change in approach to many of how you sellers charge for shipping. With this latest update, we really hope that we make this easier for you to set up and maintain your shipping policies. And we see this as a real step towards being able to develop more community requested features for the marketplace soon. To support our selling community, we've developed a host of online and offline resources to guide sellers through not only this update, but to aid all future developments, which I'll now talk you through, with all relevant links being emailed out to all attendees after this webinar. Our primary resource is our shipping policy landing page, and this will be kept up to date with links to all other resources, FAQs, updates, and more. So this is really your hub for information on all things shipping. We also have a page dedicated to FAQs that we created since the announcement and in response to community feedback, and a UK specific shipping policy help document that will show you a template and walk you through the setup of not only a complete policy, but also an individual format policy. If that among those documents that we've put together, you still haven't found an answer to your question, we have some alternates available. So your first and fastest option is always to reach out to our CS team. They are able to take a deeper dive into your account when it comes to technical issues and specific orders, whilst working around the clock to iron out all issues. And on top of that, you've got my contact details to reach out directly, and I'll be more than willing to help you with anything unanswered. Myself and my team are predominantly here to focus on strategy, best practice, and to understand your operation in greater detail and offer, I suppose, bespoke guidance to your selling processes. Now for the main event, we're going to walk you through each key element of this update. The editor as a tool that hasn't changed much over the past few years. But over the past few months, we've been focused on the improvements that make the editor more effective for you. These changes draw on feedback that we've received in the Discogs forum, in-person discussions with sellers, and CS tickets. The biggest changes include the ability to combine format and weight or quantity, being able to name your methods rather than choose from a limited drop-down list, and a more flexible way to set the ranges to cover all order sizes. If you've already taken the time to set up your shipping policies, this update will not affect those existing policies. They'll continue to work as they do now, but you'll simply be able to add more details to those existing shipping policies if you choose. Minimum order and free shipping. Now, local pickup and free shipping have previously been included as a method. These will now be a checkbox, so you can offer the option to pick up alongside standard free shipping. If you choose to offer free shipping, you can set the minimum order to this to apply. And free shipping will be displayed to buyers on the marketplace listings and in the cart. These are set at policy level, meaning they'll apply alongside all methods that you set up for a particular region. The shipping rates window. Now, the old seller term drop-down was often confusing as it contained shipping services that weren't specific to the buyer's country. On top of that, it wasn't possible to have multiple methods and rates using the same service name. Customizable fields will give you total control in the naming of your courier, whilst the buyer will only view your shipping terms which are appropriate to their region, simplifying the buying process whilst increasing transparency. Formats and weights. So you can now choose whether or not you want the shipping policy to apply to all formats or narrow it down via specific formats with the checkboxes on the left, which will ultimately increase accuracy. Combining weight or quantity with the format on your left in the shipping method will provide a far greater level of detail to your policies and your pricing. Now, with regards to default weights, the weight ranges for each format are preset to our default amounts as seen above. With formats not seen to be populated with default weights, soon to be populated. If you wish to adjust the specific weight of an obscure item, like a metal case box set, I suppose, you can do this through the individual item page. In my opinion, or more conveniently, you can also do this in bulk via Near Mint, and obviously through our backend bulk export and import tool if you wish to adjust the weights in bulk. And with regards to merge orders and offers, shipping policies will be applied automatically to merged orders and orders which after accepting the offers. The policy will apply to the merged order where applicable. You'll still have the freedom to edit the amount you charge for shipping on offers accepted, like a part of the deal that you struck included in discounting or free shipping. Now, what is a complete shipping policy? So, with all these adjustments to the shipping framework, it's important to double down on what a complete shipping policy is, ensuring that your records are available in all territories before we move on to this next section. A complete shipping policy means that you need to cover the possibility of all formats, all order values, and all order sizes. For example, up to an indefinite number of items, weights, or format combinations. This seems daunting from the get-go, but please bear with me because there is a simplistic method behind getting this set up. This all format policy must be checked and completed for you to sell within a territory and acts as your foundation policy. Step one is to ensure that you have and up selected in the last weight or quantity box. This leaves your policy open to account for an infinite number of orders. Step two is to ensure that you have selected per each additional, which is applicable to either weight or quantity based on how you prefer to manage your policies. Please be aware that the minimum or maximum order value requirements must be set at the default 0 for this to be 100% complete. You can see that on the second row down, order subtotal must be at least, and that cell needs to be set at its default 0 for your all formats policy. What this basic policy will do is act as a foundation for your more detailed policies to elaborate on, from large to small vinyl CDs with or without jewel cases. Besides weight and items, all formats will need to be covered by shipping policies. This is not restricted to just what you are selling, but must cover all potential items for sale. It's really important to say that again, that if your shipping policy doesn't take into account all order possibilities, it will be considered incomplete and none of your listings for that region will appear in the marketplace. And I can't stress that enough. Next up, I'll be demonstrating how to set up a basic policy, but a complete shipping policy for certain regions. So to leave this session with you all capable on how to set things up. Well, I'll also be, as I mentioned earlier, sending out step-by-step guided documentation as well. So don't worry, this isn't the last chance you'll get to see what a complete shipping policy looks like. There is 2 really good UK specific help documents that will be sent out to guide you through. What will happen without a shipping policy? If you don't have these shipping policies set up, or it doesn't cover your potential orders, your listings will show up as unavailable in the buyer's region from October the 1st. You won't be blocked or banned from the marketplace, but prospective buyers won't be able to purchase items from you. This may change as the marketplace continues to evolve too. So right, that's the main body of what I wanted to introduce and explain and discuss today, with questions being fielded in the chat box, and we'll get to any additionals at the end. So I'm going to walk you through what a complete policy looks like. And for this example, we're looking at, it's the UK to EU postage via UPS standard courier service. I'm going to play this a couple of times as well, so don't worry about screen grabbing or being in a race to note down everything that I'm doing. Okay. So if you have no pre-existing policies, it's good to hit the reset button, and this will set you with your defaulted zones. Opening the European zone, we click on Add a shipping method, and we name the exact service used. We can then set the weight parameters for boxes to this region. Now, I've set 5 kilograms at £15, with every additional 5 kilograms to be charged at £15. This will ensure that I'm covered in all eventualities and will never be undercharged. The important part to focus on here is the and up and per each additional box, which I'm going to get to on the last row of this demonstration. So it's 5 kilograms at £15. I leave that and up box. It's £15 per 5 kilograms per each additional 5 kilograms. Once complete, you can hit save, and that basic policy is good to go. And you're free to then add in policies which give greater detail, for example, small and large records, CDs with or without jewel cases, and so forth. If you are at all concerned about insurance values of these complete policies and wish to add a higher rate in the eventuality of a high value order, you can set up a secondary complete policy which kits in over that desired value. And that tutorial is within the step-by-step document which will be sent out after this. To my knowledge, the UPS have a rather comprehensive insurance plan on that standard service, but I know that it's a question that's come up time and time again. And I suppose I wanted to let you all know that that insurance is more than possible on a complete policy. I'll go through that once again. So reset button on the right, that sets you up with the zones. UK, Europe, entire world. Don't forget that you can also set up your own custom zones based on your own individual shipping terms. Europe is selected. I have named the service name UPS Standards. I've set weight over quantity, as I feel that that's more accurate when it comes to all formats orders, because we know roughly what the cost of a box is and the weight of that box and the size of that box. So up to 2 kilograms is 11 quid, 5 kilograms, 15 quid, and 5 kilograms and over to be charged at £15 per 5 kilograms. You can obviously go into more detail on this if you wish to, and add a more structured approach. But yeah, I mean, you know, I don't know many orders that come in over 10 kilograms, but this is more just to cover all order eventualities as discussed. So that's dropped down to per each additional, and then it's another 5 kilograms. And then it's the big green save button in the bottom right-hand corner. And your policies will be live. So to reiterate, complete policies must set up for all zones that you wish to sell in as a foundation price point to cover all formats, even those that you are not selling. And you can add detailed format policies via individual format pricing to increase accuracy after your all format policies are set up. And that goes for domestic, European, and global territories, and any territory that you wish to sell in. To say once again, the help document that we're going to send out, there is one for what a complete policy looks like, and there's a secondary one for an individual format policy. So don't fear, you're going to have a step-by-step guide in your inbox after this meeting. And again, I'm here to advise on getting those watertight before October the 1st. Case studies. Now, last week I caught up with 2 of our sellers who are early adopters to shipping policies, both Julian from Root Records and AD from Vinyl Underground, and I'm going to be playing that interview now. So, alongside all the benefits we have to say about this update, it's as important to hear it straight from the horse's mouth, with both Julian and AD from Root Records and Vinyl Underground here to chat on how these settings have impacted their operations. Julian, let's kick off with Root Records. When did you have your shipping policies in place?
I believe it was around the autumn 2018. I think I set them up.
Nice. And how has it affected your workflow as a seller?
Well, the reason I did it was I was spending a lot of time manually putting in all of the shipping prices for each order, which became a bit of a hassle. So I saved a lot of time doing that. And then also a side effect of that is I realized I was spending a lot less time chasing payments and getting less cancelled orders. And then I started using Near Mint as well. And as a result, I basically sort of automated the whole workflow of the order process. So I don't actually have to do anything when an order comes in other than just send it out. So yeah, it saved a lot of time.
And as a result of that automation, have you seen any differences in your sales alongside your operations?
I think I did notice a boost in sales. It's difficult to say 100% because I also changed some of my shipping prices at the same time. But I noticed, one thing I definitely did notice was more international orders. And I think the reason is people in Europe could see the final purchase price, including shipping, when they're looking at the product, which basically means they realize that actually the shipping price is quite cheap. You don't have to click through to seller terms. You just see the final purchase price when you're actually looking at the list of items. So I think people, a lot of foreign buyers would favor my page because they can see the actual final price from the outset and they can pay straight up.
And when you adopted the seller term, did you kind of have any barriers when you first were getting your head around it? And if so, how did you overcome them?
I had quite a challenge getting the shipping policies to work. I spent quite a while trying to work out how to get the weight values to match correctly. so that I got the right outcomes for shipping 7s, and they would result as a large letter, and shipping LPs and 12s, and having them result as producing the right postage amount for a packet. So that was a challenge, and I actually had to take it down again because I got it wrong the first time. But I had some experience doing that. I also have a website which has a similar back end. So I managed to kind of use that as a format to do it. The other problem, which I actually still faced until quite recently, was not being able to account for certain formats. For example, things like 10-inch vinyl and things that I couldn't get to fit into the weight brackets. But actually with the new format addition from the auto shipping policies, the update, I think I can actually resolve all those issues and get it to work out exactly.
Exactly. You know, I think you were referring to the all formats setting.
Right, yeah,
defaulted.
The new format setting allows maybe where I was just trying to make everything work by weight. Now I can have some side clauses if I want to specify a certain format.
Yeah, great. And finally, have you got any advice for sellers about to set up their policies and anything that might help them fast track the process?
Yeah, I mean, yes, you need to look at some screenshots or a guide, which I'm sure Discogs provide, for the actual process of setting up the weight categories, because it's quite confusing. But actually with that help, it will probably only take 10-15 minutes. And it's definitely worth it for the time saving and for the increase in sales. It just kind of makes Discogs more up to date with what a modern website checkout experience should be like, which I guess is the point.
Thanks a million, man. Appreciate it. So next up, we have Adi from Vinyl Underground. Adi, when did you have your shipping policies in place at Vinyl Underground?
We set them up, I can't quite remember, quite a few years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. And yeah, we were resistant at first, but we set them up and it worked.
And how has it affected your workflow as a business?
Quite a lot. It basically just dramatically cut down the number of non-paying buyers overnight. Yeah, we saw it overnight. It just worked. And any issues we thought we were going to have were less.
And have you, at the time of setting it up, did you notice any difference in your sales, or was it more the processes that became more streamlined?
The process has definitely got more streamlined. I guess sales could have increased. I think, yeah, I didn't really notice it because it was kind of growing anyway, but it definitely just makes it a lot easier. It's all about click and buy, really, isn't it? So.
And when you set them up, were there any barriers adopting in that kind of like first setup process? And if so, how did you overcome them as a business?
So we were a bit resistant at first because customers like there's questions and everything, but it worked, and there wasn't many problems with postage. And then it was just, there was some issues with the weights, a lot of issues with the weights. It's a bit tricky to find a way around it. I think we still have some issues to this day where 10 inches aren't correct. They either are 7 inches or 12 inch, which is, you know, but it's a small problem, and the positive way outweighs any problems we've had.
And finally, do you have any advice to sellers who are new to adopting the policies, and any words to them in this next stage?
Just get them set up, put the information on your page. Obviously, you know that customers don't read that information. They're not going to make the extra few clicks, so just get as much information on your shipping policy as you can.
Brilliant. Thanks so much, mate. I really appreciate the time.
That's all right.
So big thank you to Adi and Julian for joining me on that one. Sorry they couldn't be in the chat live, but I hope that offered some insight into the successful adoption of shipping policies, how it can streamline the processes, and how it's helped out those businesses. Now, before I go into a couple of questions which have come up, I'm going to go through some common FAQs which we've arisen time and time again, which will hopefully add a little bit more clarification in terms of these changes. So will customer interactions still exist? And yes, of course, customer interactions will still exist. We simply want to streamline the nuts and bolts of the processes, with, of course, leaving communication open between both buyers and sellers. Messaging on orders will still be present, and buyers will still have the multiple contact option for that interaction. We understand that dialogue is essential when purchasing records, either in real life or online, and understand that that is a key advantage for us as a marketplace, and we want to continue to encourage that. How do combined format orders work? Now, these will work via the all formats shipping policies, which you will set up as your foundation policy. If you order a CD and a 12-inch, the calculator won't simply add the price of the 12-inch to the CD. It will go to the all formats policy and put it within that shipping bracket. Default weights are not always 100% accurate. Now, as I mentioned earlier, you can amend the weight of certain items on the item listing page, or in bulk via the upload and download process. You can filter by format really quickly here, and for example, update all gatefold LPs in one hit. This gives you, as a seller, the flexibility to make weights as accurate as you need them to be. The other way of doing this is via our back-end inventory management tool, Near Mint, which is free, and I can email that out to you afterwards. I'm going to get on to the details of Near Mint after this FAQ as well, because I know that that's come up in the chat box. How can I offer discounts? Now, you can still offer shipping discounts over certain amounts, but these must be preset within your settings. And you can, of course, always discount directly to the customer via PayPal if you wish to. And if you wish to offer a slight discount on what's already been paid. Now, I do know that, and this has come up a couple of times, that a lot of sellers like to offer, buy 5, get the cheapest one free deal or something along those lines, and manually manipulate the shipping price to accommodate for those discounts at the point of checkout. Now, the whole point of this update is that we need those price points to be preset within your shipping policies, so that can't exist from October the 1st in a manual fashion, but it can exist in an automatic fashion via offering free shipping over, as a ballpark, over 50 quid domestically, 150 quid to Europe and beyond worldwide. Something along those lines is something I see commonly. And when you set up those discounts, there will be a banner that will be placed on your shop, and it'll be visible to the buyer that if they, know they hit certain spends within their territories, they'll receive free shipping. The dual case scenario. Now, it's a topic that came up frequently amongst sellers and buyers as to how to accommodate buyers who want to buy CD orders shipped without dual cases. Now, with our changes, the shipping editor, you can set as many shipping options as you need in situations like this with CDs. You simply can offer all your varied shipping options, either with or without dual cases, to encourage buyers to take advantage and save on the postage, and most importantly, add more items to their order while staying within budget. So simply what will happen then, you would set up 2 separate CD policies, name one of them with dual case, one of them without dual case, and price them appropriately as to the, the price points that you achieve on those 2 methods. And then at checkout, the buyer will simply be able to, from a drop down, select whether or not they want dual cases in the order, and they will be invoiced appropriately based on what you have set. So those are the real common FAQs. The two main points that have come up in the Q&A so far that I wanted to go over, first of which is the back-end inventory management tool called Near Mint. We launched it just over a year ago. It is a free piece of software developed by us, which basically syncs into the back end of your Discogs profile, and it gives you a modernized interface into the management of your inventory. It enables you to list multiple copies of the records for the first time with an auto relist functionality. So for instance, if you've got 20 copies of one release, you put 20 up, and as soon as one gets sold, it automatically gets relisted. And of course, if you have your shipping policies set up as well, it automates that entire process, whereas the record is sold, paid for, and automatically relisted, rather than having to manually relist, manually invoice, manually accept the payment. There's a whole bunch of other benefits, like managing your stock in an offline capability. And I'll get invites sent out to all of you for that tool if you haven't got it set up already. And of course, I'm available on one-to-ones to give you a better demonstration as to how that will benefit your individual situation.
Russ, sorry
Yes.
to jump in. You no longer need an invite for Near Mint. It's totally free, and you can sign up on www.nearmint.io. There
we go, straight from the horse's mouth. Secondly, the topic that came up very quickly was the regional zones within the policy editor. Now, when you hit the reset button from a UK-based seller, you go to your regional domestic policies in the UK, Europe, and global. Now, I'm more than understanding that prices to the States have skyrocketed. Places like Brazil and Japan can sometimes be a little bit different. Now, you are free to amend those zones as you wish and set up your own zones. However, by default, those three brackets just make it quite a simplified starting point for your policies, and you can go in then and break down the exact zones that you wish to ship to. So my contact details are there. And like I said at the beginning of this webinar, I'm here to talk one-on-one with you about your setup. Once you have your policies set up, I can go through, fine-tune them, and make sure you're good to go for October the 1st. After this webinar, we will also send out all of the relevant help documentation which I discussed, which gives you a step-by-step approach in terms of setting up your complete policies, all formats, and then also an individual format policy. So you should be good to go and fully equipped to get these set up with myself and my team here to make sure that you are watertight from October the 1st. To my knowledge, there's no open questions left in the forum, but again, email's there, please take it down. And I'm here to talk to yourself at any stage with regards to not just your shipping policies, but also the strategy of your Discogs account, and to make you the best seller possible, and to communicate any other changes that happen within the marketplace. Thanks again for joining today. Really appreciate it. There will be a link to this webinar available on the catch up via the blog. And like I said, there'll be an email in your inbox shortly with all relevant links. Thanks again, and look forward to speaking to you all soon. Cheers.